And it is this moment, my friends, when you must look away, as the world unfurls anew in shapes announced both bright and sordid, in dark and light, and the sprawl of all existence that lies between.
Hello, and welcome to the Legendarium Green Team's Malazan series. Welcome to episode 4 of the Midnight Tide series. I am BefuddledPanda, and I'm joined by Hurinfan.
Hola.
JasnahAsABoy.
Hello.
And Ashaman.
Hello, everybody.
Hurinfan and Ashaman are the Malazan veterans. Jasnah and I are reading the series for the first time. Today we are covering Midnight Tide's The Holding book, but specifically chapters 20 through Epilogue. Spoiler warning, everything up through these chapters is fair game for discussion, and we will be using our chapter by chapter format. We're at the end of this book, guys.
Yeah. After this we will be done half the series.
I have
page number.
never gone through a series so back to back to back. So this is a feat for me, okay?
Yeah.
Not even
Harry
Murderbot?
Potter? No, Murderbot.
Well, Murderbot, I read them as they were coming out. So, I had to wait a year before.
Murderbot is so short, isn't it?
Yeah, and Murderbot is so short. I guess when I was doing my reread, I did read them, binge them. But yeah, no, I mean, this is dense stuff. So I haven't fallen off the wagon yet.
Come close at some points, right?
I've definitely come close.
I think all of our listeners are saying, yes!
I don't know, maybe they're like, you know what? Get her out of here.
Oh, you're our most popular.
Oh, man.
Ooh, we should do a Twitter poll. Who's the most popular? BefuddledPanda, Panda.
There's only one right answer.
The girl.
The girl.
Western American.
Well, I see what you did there. Yeah. All right. Anything people want to share before we get started? Hurinfan is ready to decorate his house for Christmas.
I got so many Christmas decorations.
It's currently October 9th.
I'm waiting a few weeks to put them up. I went spelunking yesterday in West Tokyo. It was fun. My wife had never done it before. It wasn't serious spelunking, but we just kind of walked around in a cave. And the new Metroid came out, and it's fantastic. And the Muppets Halloween Haunted Mansion special. I loved it.
I am actually watching that tonight.
Ooh.
I know, and I'm not a Muppets fan, but I'm going to give it a try, because...
It's not peak Muppets, but if you like Haunted Mansion and you like Muppets, I think you'll like it.
I mean, I did go on the Haunted Mansion ride recently.
My favorite Disney ride.
But it was all Nightmare Before Christmas-ified.
They do that here, but they're lazy. Oriental Land.
Oh, really? Oh, sorry.
Well, last year they didn't do it because of COVID, and this year I guess they have the same excuse. So.
I see. Well, maybe we're more Malazan related. Maybe we'll have some special announcement soon, later.
Yeah,
maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. What am I talking about? Let's get started. How about this?
Are you talking about us potentially interviewing Apto Canavarian?
Spoilers.
Maybe we'll have more than one announcement.
I don't think that one will be so much an interview as an argument over who is interpreting the series better.
Oh no. It would not be me. I already say nope, not me.
And then Apto will be so polite and nice while telling us that we're wrong.
Very passionately, though.
It's a great interpretation, but
do a deep dive with Philip Chase afterwards, just analyzing all of the mistakes we make in our literary.
I'd love to talk to Philip. That'd be fun.
Yeah?
Well, what about Ash and Jasnah? Do you guys have anything?
Well, the most exciting thing that happened since the last recording for me is Lady Ash was hit by a car.
Yeah.
Thankfully, she's okay, barring some recurring headaches, and later had her bike stolen.
Oh no!
It's not a good month for her.
Oh,
I have an alibi.
Well, you're across the
do
ocean.
have an alibi.
And over here, I sunk hundreds of dollars into plumbing issues that still aren't fixed, and
Oh no.
and I
Plumbing issues
finished
are the
Wisdom
worst.
of Crowds on the same day that I finished Midnight Tides.
Ooh.
Sounds like
Exciting.
an emotionally tumultuous day.
Oh yeah, and surprisingly, for once, it was Abercrombie making me cry, and Erickson not so much with this book. But we can talk about that as we go.
Hmm.
All right. I guess that's a
Chapter
good
20.
segue.
Yeah.
Ashaman,
Go
would you like
chapter
to do the
20.
honors?
Absolutely. The Sita picks his favorite tile, Shirk spikes herself, the Queen's consort loses objectivity, and the Letheri make their final preparations for the Eater.
Irk. Oh my goodness. Just reading her thoughts is, it's something.
I love Shirk.
Yeah.
Also, just advance apologies. I got no notes.
Me
I have very
neither.
few, and I have literally nothing written for this chapter.
So Ashaman's going to carry this episode.
Well, I never have notes, so it's always the same with me.
So we're just all on the same playing field now.
Yeah. So this is the essentially we learn that the Queen's consort is the errant in this chapter, although
No.
sort of gets revealed later as well. Did you guys happen to guess that beforehand at all, or no?
Nope.
Nope.
So this is part 1 of the awesome foreshadowing of a god lurking around in the in plain view that I have been obsessed with this read through. So there's less foreshadowing for the errant, but still a fair amount. Especially in the chapter where Briss talks to him. So if you guys will remember, the epigraph before that, of the chapter, was about the errant. And then, one of the first conversations is with the errant. Briss thinks to himself, hey, this guy doesn't really seem to age now, does he?
Interesting.
And the errant makes some... He says things that you wouldn't expect just a consort to say. And Briss thinks, wow, that's odd. And then later in a conversation, the Sita says, oh yeah, that guy, he's an errant lad.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I was having a good time with that. I was hoping you guys didn't guess beforehand, because I don't know.
Nope.
I thought that would there's definitely foreshadowing, but I think almost all of it's only catchable on a second reread.
Probably,
or on
yeah.
a second read. Whereas
Well-
with Bug, I actually do think. Well, I guess we should talk about that later.
Yeah. Bug threw me off of even trying to guess too. So that didn't help either. Because earlier in the book, Bug said that stuff about, the fork roll of sail, who are collectively personified in our mythology as the errant. And I was like, okay, that's what the errant is. The book's closed on that one. I've got it figured out. Thanks, Bug. And it made me not continue following up until you guys said something in the last episode, and I was like, that's not it.
I had no guesses.
Part of it, but not the biggest part. And what a great place to hide out, right? I wouldn't want to sleep with this queen, because she seems like a very mean person. But he gets to be there, and no one will ever really notice him that much.
He was mixing pleasure with business, man.
For the errant business is pleasure.
Ugh.
Would it be pleasure or pleasantness?
Oh my god.
Cool chapter. A lot of setup though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really have much to say. Obviously. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Tehol and Bug. I think Tehol wakes up with 3 fewer legs on his bed.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine Bug sawing off the legs of his bed while not waking him up, and I don't know if that Bug is really good at it or Tehol is just a really heavy sleeper.
I'm gonna guess Tehol is a really heavy sleeper, but also why 3? I know Bug gave an answer, but still it's just so uneven.
It's funnier that way.
It's funnier. The rule of threes.
I guess.
You know what, that too.
I mean, if he did 2, but did them diagonally, one on opposite. Yeah, okay.
That would be funny.
Well, in this chapter, though, the conversation between Taeho and Bug, like we got more insights into like how much Bug knows, and Taeho's like getting suspicious, and then Bug's like, "Oh yeah, never mind, just kidding."
Keeping
'Cause he
Bug
knows
busy is an eternal chore.
Yeah, he knows about the Jaga. He knows about curled Emerlon, and Tail's like, curled what? Kenyo who? And Tail's also like, Jaga what?
Yeah, we also get confirmation that it was indeed Gothos' ritual that like froze out the Hold of the Dead
Mm-hmm.
until like very recently.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was nice. And Shirk won't die due
Nope.
to the curse being weakened, so that's nice.
Mm-hmm. She'll have a, hole in her head, but she'll
Lyra doesn't
remain
rattle around too much.
she'll remain her undead state.
Wait, I gotta check to see if my quote is in this chapter. No, it is. It is next. Okay, yeah, we can move on. I don't really have a lot to say for this one.
I'm just checking because I did highlight a lot of stuff. Oh, I guess I did have one thing about Kettle, and I was just like, Kettle, what's your purpose? That's it.
Yeah, we don't find that out.
No.
How mysterious.
And I mean, I think I had good reason to think that Bug was Hood, even though I know now it's not true. That is incorrect.
It was an excellent shot in the dark.
Okay, like there are some things that go towards your theory. Like Bug presumably has balls. Hood has balls. Hood hasn't shown that yet.
That's been confirmed in these
Yes.
last 5 chapters.
Yeah.
Thanks, Iron Bars.
No, it was it was Silchus Ruin.
Such ruin.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's just ruin. Okay.
He has balls.
You mean the
Okay.
mysterious albino man?
Oh my freaking goodness.
I guess the cat's out of the bag.
He believes himself to be Silchus Ruin and has successfully convinced some
Oh
other-
my god.
Like no confirmation yet.
I'll have to wait a couple books.
Yeah.
You mean I have to read Esselmon's books to find out?
Man, you guys will be so surprised when Silchus Ruin ends up being Hood.
Oh my god. Okay, I think we can move on.
Yeah, it's a good setup chapter, but that's about all it is.
I mean, there's a lot of good stuff that was said and like really entertaining conversations and just like breadcrumbs put out there. But yeah,
Doesn't
there's
feel like
more
to talk about.
yeah, there's
like
more
it's
later.
It's all on the page.
Mhm.
Chapter 21. Seren learns how to process her grief and passes by what will undoubtedly be a successful village currently seceding from Lether and attempting to bind Demon. Troll sends his new friend home, Udanos has his debt forgiven, and cracks open a cold one with a buddy.
What's a warren?
What's a warrant? Yes.
That was asked in this chapter.
It's
Oh my
like a
God.
wagon with round wheels.
That's a hold, right?
No,
The hold is
with
square wheels.
Oh, right.
And then everyone talks about how smooth the ride is.
What an analogy.
So it took us 5 books to get to a scene where a fish out of water main character asks another character what a warren is.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I don't think that Erickson usually believes in fish out of water. You know?
Hmm.
How many readers do you think come to this point and they still like have no idea?
I mean,
How?
Saren kind of gives an explanation like later on. She was just like, I was given this information and I kind of got it, but then it's just something you just have to understand. You just have to come
Yeah.
to understand what it is.
It's like it's hard to explain but easy to comprehend or something like that. I don't know.
Something along those lines.
It's pretty easy to understand the important bits about warrens. But like when
Yeah.
you start like really getting into the nitty-gritty, it's like, well, the Beast Hold and the Talon Warren are kind of connected, but we don't really know when, one sprang up and which one's the original one.
And what's the difference between Mianis and Thyre and
And Rashawn.
Yeah.
All of the Shadow Warrens that humans have access to.
But the basics of the explanation given to Saren, was that who asked the question?
Yeah.
That stuff is all stuff you can pick up in Gardens of the Moon, right?
Basically.
Yeah.
if you're attentive.
Yeah, and like the gist of it is explained by Tattersail, like in the first battle. It's like, you can draw power through Warrens, which are different dimensions.
And apparently Saren like has some capability.
Yeah.
For Makra, I think.
Yeah, she's been unconsciously using it for a while.
Yeah.
What was the name of the Avowed that was the mage?
Corlo?
Corlo.
Thank you.
That's the guy.
I really liked his use of magic and all the
Yeah.
potions and stuff.
He's so cool.
Corlo's really cool.
And Mianis, I think he tells us that if you're a practitioner of Mianis, then you can walk through shadows. And isn't that cool? This is the mildest of spoilers, but that does show up in a book later on, and it's excellent.
Ooh, looking forward to
And it's
that.
already showed up for me in some Esselmont.
I know exactly what you're thinking of, yeah. One of the highlights in this chapter for me was when Hull was talking to Udinas, and like he basically frees Udinas because his brother owns the debt, right?
Yeah, Tehol.
And I really, really liked his story about Tehol as a I guess
as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he frees him financially, not from slavery.
True.
Well, he's no longer indebted, yeah. I guess he's still a slave.
Yeah.
Going back to Corlo though and Saren, I did really like the exchange between Corlo and Saren about crying and how like Saren, she went through this trauma of being raped and she's trying to figure out how to process it. And Corlo's like, sometimes you just need to let it out, just cry it out. And I relate to that in the sense that sometimes you just need a good cry. Like I don't necessarily need a big reason, but you just like I tend to just keep things in, and it just builds and builds and builds, and then eventually you get to this point where you're just like, I'm so frustrated. And I tend to cry more when I'm angry than from reading sad stuff. Although I will say, like, there are commercials that when they play, I'm just like, oh no, I'm starting to get teary-eyed. They're like car commercials or like credit card commercials. Like sometimes they just really pull at your heartstrings. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Christmas commercials.
How about that Campbell's Soup Christmas commercial?
I don't know which one you're talking about, but if you send it to me,
sorry. It's the coffee commercial, the incest one.
What?
Oh, you don't know it? I'll share it later.
Okay.
It's something that like you can't really believe that it was approved.
Oh my god. Okay.
Lady Ash also cries sometimes at weird times.
Yeah.
My favorite example being whenever she hears about gay swans.
What? Oh.
Are you serious?
She just thinks it's real neat that two gay swans can get together and love each other.
Okay.
My
wife's
cute,
not a crier. I cry more than my wife.
I can see that.
I actually don't cry that much. Like I realize when I say I cry at commercials, like I actually don't cry that much.
It has to be the right commercial.
Yeah, well, it has to be the right commercial, but I also don't watch commercials a lot.
Because you cry, right?
No, I just get like teary-eyed. I don't like full on, bawl. That's the thing. That doesn't happen very often.
A single tear.
Just like
done.
a little misty-eyed. That's it.
I need some fan art of Panda crying to a commercial, please.
Oh my god.
Maybe Solution will whip one up.
We've kind of derailed a bit, but yeah, I also really liked that section, Panda. And if it's okay, I'd like to read what Corlo said because I think it's really beautiful.
Yes, please.
I could make you cry it out, all out, Saren. He met her eyes, and when that was done, you'd feel better. Not much better, but some. You release it all, but only once, I promise. There's a risk with crying it all out, mind you. Could be as traumatic as the rape itself, but you won't fall into the trap of cycling through it over and over again. Release gets addictive, you see. It becomes a fixed behavior, as destructive as any other. Keep repeating the exercise of grief and it loses meaning. It becomes rote, false, a game of self-pollution, self-indulgence, a way of never getting over anything ever. That sounds complicated, Corlo. It is. You stop the war all in one shot, and afterward the memory leaves you feeling nothing. A little remorse, maybe. The same as you feel for all the mistakes you left behind during your whole life. Regrets. But no self-recrimination, because that's your real enemy, isn't it? A part of you feeling like you somehow deserved it.
Yeah, that last part, that was really what kind of got me, is feeling like you deserved it.
Mhm.
And that's, the whole victim blaming themselves. Yeah.
And she also has like a lot of I wouldn't call it like survivor's guilt. She's very She feels very guilty over Baruch, and she
Yeah.
realizes that like she sort of set out to punish herself, not like intentionally thinking I'm gonna get raped, but sort of just being
Not as
unconsciously
careful.
careless and placing herself in a situation where she knew bad things were gonna happen to her,
Mm-hmm.
which is tragic and common. I like how essentially Corlo helps her not develop PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
because endlessly cycling through their memories is a lot of what PTSD is, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad to see that. Like, I think Erickson probably does mental illness better than like any other mainstream fantasy author. Like both just in like how he discusses it, and also like I really feel like he gets it.
The portrayals that he puts on paper, yeah, they're not like just stereotypes. They're more fleshed out.
Yeah, real
And
people and pathos
yeah,
ridden.
and they're like different kinds. It's not just like the same note over and over again. And then in that scene, there's just iron bars as well, like being so steadfast and supportive, but not overbearing and intrusive. Yeah, that was nice.
He's lived a long time. Maybe he's learned a lot.
You would hope so.
Possible. Mm-hmm.
Some people live a long time and don't learn anything.
Very true.
That's true.
So I think this read through, my favorite scenes are the scenes between Udinas and Rulad. And in this chapter specifically, I was thinking of Rulad. He's bubbly, if you could describe it as that. And he's drinking wine because he's found a taste for literary drinks. And he's just like, hey, I just let's sit down and talk like two people. He says, what topic is fine? He's like, anything's fine as long as it's inconsequential. Or no, he said, is it in? I have a story of a lake. It's not inconsequential, but
Nope.
Rulad thinks it is. He's like, is it inconsequential? Is his question? And I just thought that was really beautiful.
And we get sort of a parallel with Udinas and Rulad with Troll and Lilac. Just kind of like a mini arc that they have, because of course Lilac lies to Troll, so Troll will send him home. And Troll is actually okay with this because he's like, well, he's in a happier place now. He's with his family. I would have done the same thing. And of course, Udinas is lying to Rulad. He's a slave. Like, he doesn't really have any other choice, right? But Rulad just wants a friend.
Yeah.
I think it's more complicated than that. I don't think he's necessarily lying to him. I just think he has like two minds on the subject. Like, I think obviously he wants to leave because he wants to be free. He's a slave and he feels guilty about wanting to leave at the same time. But like once he does leave, he feels terrible and he's like, I must get back to my master because of that slave mentality, right?
It's definitely a very nuanced relationship. And I honestly can't fault either of them too much in it, because Rulad, he's like naive, he's in pain, he just wants somebody. And Udinas is like his only person. And yeah, at the same time, Udinas doesn't want to be in this position.
Well, I think part of it is Udinas was. It's more like white lies. It's not like he's trying to lie to harm Rulad. And I think for Rulad, he sees Udinas as somebody who's not like wanting things from him. It's not like every interaction is all about what can I get from Rulad, or like I don't want to offend. And Udanas is the one who's like able to be more truthful and honest with him. So that's why he values Udanas so much.
I
He's
think
more free with his thoughts despite being a slave.
Yeah.
in addition to that, I think Rulad is also kind of terrified because Udanas doesn't want anything from him, right? And he says that he's like, I already have everything I want. And then Rulad's like, he has a reaction to it that Udanas perceives as negative, and yeah, I think that's just because Rulad realizes that like he can't keep Udanas through bribery, which is most of what he knows right now, like threats and bribery.
He's afraid to free him too.
Well, because he's relying on Udanas a lot more than
Yep.
Udanas is
Yeah.
relying on him. So
It's
there's
like
an
an
imbalance.
almost entirely one-sided relationship.
What's next?
I liked when Fear and Troll's mother slapped down Fear.
I like Uruth. She seems like a good mom.
She's a mom.
There's just the women of the Eater are I find them really fascinating. Although Mayen is obviously a troubled case.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, this is the one with my quote. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Unless-
Rulad drowned an entire world.
Yeah, where could that be?
Well, a fragment of curled Emerlon, upon which our ships will soon travel.
Yep.
So it's the Nascent.
Yep. It's the Nascent.
Where is it?
Or
It is.
it?
I mean, that's the only drowned world we've encountered.
So the demons that live there that they're using in their army, you know how there's like two classes of them and they're like almost the same word, but it's like the spelling's like inverted.
Elaborate more because that's over
What's
my
the
head.
name of it? Hold on. I need to find it.
Kenel-Ra and Kenrala.
Yeah, Kennel Ron.
Oh.
Yeah, that. What you said.
Kenrala and Kenrala.
That came from a typo.
Really?
What?
Yeah, it started as a typo and he just turned it into this running gag, basically.
What?
Excellent.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a gag, more just like world building, right?
Well, the fact that it's almost the exact same word, but just a little changed, and one's a species ruling over the other.
Was it meant to be the same?
Yeah, they were originally the same demon, and at one point he started spelling it wrong, and then that turned into them being like this two classes / species, one ruling over the other.
Interesting.
I guarantee you, if we asked Steve like how to spell some of like the names in his books, he wouldn't do it the same way he did.
Yeah.
Brandon Sanderson said the same thing. He said sometimes I accidentally sign the characters' names wrong.
Yeah, like it's so hard to remember what your views on things used to be.
Well, especially when he doesn't take actual notes. You know,
these
he's got
are
nothing to
review
fall
notes.
back on
No, it's who needs them.
unless he like reads his own book like 5,000 times.
And he doesn't.
Apparently not.
Yeah, the quote I picked wasn't actually very good, so I'm not going to read it.
I agree.
Okay.
I have one. It's my last one before chapter 25. So it's
Go ahead.
got a lot of good ones.
It's from Troll's point of view. During their march down from High Fort, Troll Sangar had found himself mostly shunned by his warrior kin and by the women. No official sanction had yet been pronounced, but silent judgment had already occurred, and it was these unspoken forms of punishment that maintained the necessary cohesion of the Eater tribes. Rejection of aberrant behavior must be seen, the punishment one of public participation, the lesson clear to all who might harbor similar dangerous impulses. Troll understood this well enough and did not rail against it. So this is like an interesting kind of remnant of like their tribal like culture, even as they're becoming this like conquering empire that's about to like seat itself in at the head of the Letheri system. Is they're still doing this like collective social ostracization as the main form of censorship against somebody instead of like actually officially censoring them. So I just thought that was an interesting like little anthropological bit because you know if you study Native American cultures, a lot of tribes will use that as their like way to shun people for bad behavior, but without any formal like hierarchical sort of response to go with it.
Yeah, and that we can see that in cultures like all around small scale societies all around the world. And the easiest of I think the most interesting case is when it comes to witchcraft, because pretty much every culture in the world has a concept of witchcraft as a negative thing. And the way that tribes choose to deal with that is also very interesting because, for example, in one culture, one can be a witch and not even know it, and completely unintentionally be, cursing your tribe or, souring things. So they do a ritual, and if it turns out you're a witch, then you can repent of being a witch, and there's like a rehabilitative process, and then you're welcome back to the tribe. Because, like, obviously, people aren't as expendable when it comes to tribes. This is a lot of what leads to like honor societies and such.
How do they test? Like if she weighs the same as a duck?
No, it's mystical ritual. I don't remember the exact one, but
Similar logic.
yeah, like same as like feather healing or anything else in small scale societies' conception of magic.
Chapter 22.
Yeah. Chapter 22. Troll, Roulade, and Fear are given another quest, which goes off pretty much without a hitch. Lethair gains an emperor, and Seren arrives home. Fight scenes with Fork Assail are very nice.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
All the arms.
Like
Energy destroyed a whole town.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the dogs. The dog, they left the dog.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a dog is like a blameless creature, right?
So yeah, expect more Fork Cell being cool
Yeah.
/ terrifying.
There are more and more of them being released, it seems.
And we got Calm and Serenity so far, right?
Mm-hmm. The two demon tyrant brothers. Oh my god.
I love
mean-
them so much.
The humor is pretty crude, but I did enjoy it. Can we eat first? Or pee? I need a pee. The second one would be me.
That was about the closest we got to the typical like Malazan soldier humor that I am sadly missing during this book. That's about
Yes.
as close as it got.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Malazan
Yeah.
humor is pretty unique than Malazan's in this series, not in the world.
Mm.
Is this the chapter where they chased it off a cliff and then pissed on the cliff?
The epilogue
No,
is when
that's
they piss off the
later.
cliff.
Yeah.
But they do chase it off.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, Roulade just not very good at fighting.
I mean, he was unblooded for, right until right before he died, basically.
I liked the scene where King Esgara is crowned because it's like so obviously just not going well
It's just-
for them.
The whole thing just seems false because it is.
Yeah, it's like a tiny ceremony. He looks alone and sad and broken, and then outside, a murderous psychopath is killing all the people who are excited about this.
Yeah.
Let me read this. This day, Nifida said, "Step back. Lethair is ruled by an emperor. He turned Emperor Asgara Diskanar. The guards released their salute, and that's it. Asgara sat on the throne, looking old and frail and lost."
Mm-hmm.
It just felt so real.
Yeah. That scene felt like something out of a Joe Abercrombie book in a good
I agree.
way. Kind of like the hollowness of the ritual being like really stark like that, and like the sort of like the pessimism and cynicism like radiating from that moment.
I don't know if that was like cynical about power structures or rituals. Just like they've lost the war, and like everybody knows they've lost the war, right?
Right. Well, that's why the ritual rings hollow, because
that is true. Yeah, but like if they just been like ruling, then it would have been great, right?
Right. It was very ironic.
Mm-hmm. And then the errant notes to himself that they miscalculated. It's 2 days early.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And the seventh closure kind of is when the convergence actually happens, right?
Yeah.
So What is that like? Does astrology work in the Malazan world? Is that what that is?
Well, it's
no.
been several 100,000 years, so they probably just got their calendars wrong.
Like I think there is a notion of like foresight and such, not like astrology. I think it's important that we don't actually know who has made these prophecies. So like really it could be anybody. Maybe it was the errant himself, and well, he's a pretty important guy. If it wasn't for him saying that he hadn't been participating for the last while, I would say that like the miscalculation would have been because of him, because once the errant gets involved, he's like, he kind of affects the entire narrative, because it's like, okay, what's actually happening, what's because the errant nudged it like that.
Like Opan.
Yeah,
They're very similar, yes.
they are similar in a lot of ways, although I vastly prefer Opan.
Do we ever get more Opan? I feel like
Opan does go up again.
okay, cool. He just was like this huge player in Gardens, and then it's just like, or they, and then it's just like,
Yeah,
gone.
I will get into more of my thoughts of Opan versus the Errant probably in Reaper's Gale. But for now, we'll just say Errant is not very nice.
He doesn't seem very nice.
I think a big reason we haven't seen much Opan is because they lost a lot of their power in Gardens of the Moon. Understandably.
They got beat up.
Bad.
Just because Shadowthrone ends up with Chance at the end?
Shadowthrone has Chance, and they throw away the coin. Crocus throws away the coin.
Mm-hmm.
So like their two objects of power have been either taken or just lost.
They couldn't get the coin back?
So it's not just like the coin is a magic artifact, because the coin wasn't a magic artifact before this, right? Like it was just a coin, I think. But like the fact is that like they invested their power in these objects, and now their power was either rejected, in the case of Crocus, or given to an active enemy in the case of Piran.
Well, right. That part makes sense. But the Crocus thing, it's like he rejected it. That doesn't mean it like disappears from the world, right?
No.
Like they could just give it to somebody else, right?
Yeah, probably. But like it still hurts their power to have that rejection happen in the first place. Because
from one kid?
A kid that was heavily invested in them by them, yeah. It's like Hurin's falling asleep. I'll just say the Heboric almost single-handedly took down Fenner. One person can have a lot of impact if they're...
Yeah, but that's much more in like about like Fenner's Reeve and like Fenner's sense of justice being injured fundamentally than it. I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit of a stronger case.
It is a stronger case. That's why Fenner was kicked out.
I knew you were going to say that. All right.
Cool.
Any quotes for chapter 22?
I don't have a quote, but I have a scene I want to talk about.
Okay.
I really like the scene where Rulad, he asks Fear to take care of, or like, I guess be Mayan's husband again and take care of their kid.
Mm.
And like, Troll is really impressed, or like he finally understands the importance of Udinas. And it just kind of felt like they were brothers again, sitting around doing brother stuff.
Yeah.
And it was really pretty and really depressing because of what happens later. And
like it shows that Rulad isn't too far gone at this point. Like he could still have been a good guy.
Mm-hmm. So much potential there.
Mm-hmm. And then a few unfortunate things happen.
Yeah. Rough.
Okay, chapter 23. The Letheri army is obliterated by sorcery, without any meaningful resistance, leaving everyone upset and unsatisfied.
It's a really succinct way of putting it.
Yeah.
My favorite part of this chapter was Udinas just laying into Hull Benedict. I felt really bad for Hull. I felt kind of bad for Hull, but like Udinas, like, hey, look at all these dead people. Like, yeah, this is all your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you gotta face the consequences.
Yes. I don't think like Hull had in the end much of an impact on the story. Sadly.
Nah, he didn't.
Nope.
Because Rulad already knew all the stuff from the Warlock King, right? But yeah, like Hull is just I get where he's coming from, but he went in completely the wrong direction, and I like how this book makes that clear.
You think?
What do you mean?
I don't know. He seems justified to me.
I can't tell if you're being serious.
They exploited all of his work with the tribes to to subjugate them.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a terrible thing to do.
wouldn't that? I mean, how would you react if somebody did that to your life's work?
I wouldn't destroy an entire nation of people.
Do you
That's
think he
like
really destroyed an entire nation of people by himself?
no, but
He certainly helped by his actions. Like,
yeah,
Sure,
he
he
he did
picked a
everything
side.
he did everything he could to make that happen, and gave like no consideration to the consequences, essentially. And then he
I
gets
mean,
killed by the Narek because of it, because they're like, dude, you got to learn to forgive. You did not do this right. Revenge is not the way to go.
even Tehel, he got to a certain point where he's like, yeah, I can't continue doing this because of all of the.
Of the people it would hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think definitely Hull was in the wrong. I mean, he has absolutely every right to feel it's the way that he did, and it's completely understandable. And what they did was terrible.
Hmm.
But like, I agree completely with Udinas and like his barbs.
Well,
Please. I mean, if you, it's
I
good that we're
mean,
just disagreeing.
sure, but I mean, at the end of the day, as you said, I don't think he really made that all happen. I think he picked a side in the war that was gonna come, whatever. Part of the point of this book is that there are these systems that are that have their own mechanics, regardless of individual decision making or who's at the helm of the state or
Hmm.
whatever the case may be, and that it's kind of like bigger than anyone in the conflict.
But like this was Hull's stated goal the entire time, and like what he was advocating for, and what he knew was going to happen. Um, so yes, there are systems, but like those systems are comprised of people, and those people can make good or bad choices. Obviously, Hull didn't affect much, but that's not through lack of effort. He totally wanted this to happen, and basically wanted it to happen exactly like it did.
You don't think he came to regret some of how it happened by the end? I thought
Maybe
I got
things
that
were
impression from
bleeding
him.
out.
I think he did, and especially in this chapter is when that comes out. And
Yeah, that's how I read that too.
so yeah, it's easy before the fact to be like, yeah, kill them all, kill everybody because of what they did to me. But once you're faced exactly with the consequences and seeing, like, this chapter was brutal. Like the magic that was used and Hanan Mosag and like the amount of people dead, it was wow. And then Udinas comes and he's just like, hey, yeah, congratulations. Here, I got it here. No stopping now. Hull, onwards to Lethris like a rushing river. There will be rear guards to cut down, gates to shatter, streets and buildings to fight over, and then the palace, the king, his guard. They'll not lay down their weapons, even if the king commanded. They'll serve the kingdom after all. Not Eskar Diskanar, Lethris, Hull Bedek will be ugly. Not ugly the way today here, but in some ways worse. I would stop, slave, stop talking, else I kill you. So, like, he at least feels, I think, somewhat guilty for what's happening, because otherwise Udnas's words wouldn't get to him.
I
Right.
think a large part of it is he's realizing this isn't actually going to change anything, and the revenge he sought is not actually tasting as sweet as he thinks it is. It would if he thought it would, which very common theme in revenge stories, right?
Sure. Well, and how much about Letheri society, besides who's at the helm of the state, and they're now being integrated, with the Eater, is actually going to change because of any of, like, the fundamentals are not altered by his actions, or even by the things that were beyond his control that he wanted to happen happening.
Yeah, like the side he picked didn't end up being very very nice either, and it's probably just gonna get drowned out because there just aren't as many Eater as there are Letheri.
And what do you think?
Not much. Y'all covered it. Well, something about Midnight Tides kind of parroting House of Chains was, in House of Chains we got the whole cold iron and hot iron thing.
Hmm.
And here in this chapter, there was something that was said is Udanas was saying to Rulad, "Sire, your heart is true to chastise Hana Mosag when your father and brothers arrive. Cold anger is stronger than hot rage."
Mm.
So
Yeah,
it was a nice callback.
hot take. People are a lot more dangerous when they're thinking.
Yeah, I mean that's why you burden the masses with busy work, and you don't let them have the leisure of being able to just think and
Bread and
strategize.
circus. What you do is you make bad remakes of Cinderella, and then the masses watch
Oh my
them. And
god. Hey. I haven't seen the new Amazon one. I'm reserving judgment.
and if you watch it, Jeff Bezos wins.
I mean, he already is winning, regardless
He won.
of
He
what
went
I
to space.
do.
Yeah, but his company sucks. So, space company.
Yeah.
They're just like hilariously incompetent.
Have you gotten to space?
No, but I don't have hundreds of
I
billions.
didn't think so.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Damn it, I forgot what I was gonna say. It was
Sorry.
gonna be so funny. Everybody laugh.
Ha ha.
Great.
Just
Thanks.
cut that
Made me
in
feel better.
whenever, after you say something, or maybe make it a recurring thing where every
It's just
time
a
you say
laugh
something, you
track.
just cut in that.
Yeah, I can laugh after a really serious subject.
I mean, you're the editor.
I can do it, and I will. You know I will.
We get it's sorcery is artillery here, and it's just unfair. And this is there's so many World War One times you say this is like World War One. This is like World War One. You have even the winners this doesn't feel fair. This isn't honorable. This is just slaughter. Which is in the early stages of World War One. What was happening? Because people were told to charge the machine gun nests, and they just got slaughtered.
Yep.
And nothing really moved either way very much. So what I really want to see from Erickson is a sort of Passchendaele type scenario where it's the war has really ground them down, and they're in the same spot they've been, and mud's gonna swallow you up if you step off the walkway. But if I can't get that, I like this kind of stuff.
Karen.
I was about to say. I was thinking in this type of war, what's the point of even having foot troops if the mages are just going to kill them all?
Well, they were saying earlier, that the mages would cancel each other out, right? And so really what it came down to was the foot troops. But in this case, somebody just yeah, he did more.
Yeah, whenever
He
you
had
got
more
on your
power.
side, it's a lot easier to win.
Mm-hmm.
I feel really bad for a Nuddle. She was a nice person, and she just kind of died pointlessly. Not even heroically, just with her people.
You mean the mage?
No, the Preda, the commander.
Oh, the Preda. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not even going to pretend that I can keep track of all these characters.
Especially the Letheri names are hard to keep track of, for me at least, because they just don't feel very
Tovis is a cool name.
Jan Tovis is a cool name, but it's not. I don't think it's Letheri.
Well,
what?
Okay.
It doesn't. It doesn't help that the Letheri are so formal in the military and government areas, because a lot of the time you get their name once or twice, and then every other time it's their title, and it's a title 5 other characters in the book have and are addressed by. So
Finad.
And they're not titles we're used to, so it's not as easy as hearing captain, sergeant, lieutenant, sire, etc.
A lot of context.
Sida Kurokwan, easy to remember.
Because there's only one, right?
Yeah. And also, the name is just, kind of funny looking and short.
It's a cool name. I
can't
believe
cool
he died.
Name. Yeah. That's probably the part of this book that makes me the saddest.
Really?
Ha ha! Yeah. I'll explain it more when we get to it. But
yeah, I didn't like that part. Chapter 24?
Yeah. Chapter 24. Tehil and Shirk part ways. Bug speaks with several notable individuals. Udanas loses control of himself. Rulad is now 0-4. The god of the Jek encounters some mercenaries, and the Eater god is imprisoned.
This chapter, I think, gave us the coolest name in the entire book, and that is Ersto Hubut.
I don't even remember who that is.
Remember the couple who are talking at the end of the chapter?
Oh, yes.
And they decided to get married?
Those people.
Yeah, Ersto Hubut. B-U-T-T, who butt. Or maybe
For
one,
those listening, Kieran's sense of humor is like
The best.
butts are funny. You guys are laughing.
You heard it here first, folks.
well, I'm not exactly laughing with you in this one.
Sometimes all that
Keep telling
matters is
yourself.
laughing. Yeah. In the vein of Rulab sucking at fighting, he doesn't. Okay, so he sort of ties this one in that Marok Navath, I think his name is, does manage to kill him, but also dies in the process. So he's getting better. But still, it's hard to feel that he's very dangerous, right? Because
Rulad?
like
I
he'll come back,
mean-
but he's just not very good at fighting.
Yeah, he's got a special sword. He's got like some god that's like helping him, but I
Like-
guess he's just naturally not very good. I mean, he's young. He didn't have a lot of practice, you know.
The dude, I bet, is an incredible fighter. Just like you try to stand up against a Fulcral Assail or like a really good fighter for the Letheri. You can't do it. Fulcral Assail, crazy man.
Yeah, I probably couldn't take on a Furkral Assail.
I
But-
bet he could beat Fear.
Yeah, well. Is that really so special?
Fear is one of the best warriors on the Eater.
Fear is a poop head.
Wow, you kiss your mother with that mouth?
So this chapter. Okay, did you guys guess that Bug was a god in this chapter?
Nope.
Well, was it this chapter where it was like mention of Bug accessing a warren? I think it was this one.
Okay, so the Eater god is imprisoned, so that means he's done a lot of talking. The errant has recognized him. He's like, "Oh, hey, it's you." He's gone to the Azath Tower, and the Tarthanol gods are like, "Oh, please leave. We don't want you here."
Yeah.
And, he's made a water-based trap for the Eater god.
Yep. So I totally just like it all went right over my head until it was revealed, and I was just like, oh, he's like some powerful mage like Tatron, and he's just like keeping it on the DL. You know, I had no idea.
I mean, I had already thought Bug, Hood, so I was already on that track. Anyway.
Fair.
You forgot to. So he's talking with Iron Bars. Bug said, "We have to run, I think. Can you keep up?" Iron Bars asks.
Oh,
As
yeah.
swift as a charging wave. That's me.
Yeah.
You know what that made
Also-
me think of?
What?
I'll make a man out of you. Swift as a
Ah.
coursing river.
That's good.
Okay.
Must be
Anyway,
swift as a coursing river.
thank you.
Bug asked, "I am something of a historian myself. You are? Have I read you? Are you famous? Famous, probably, but I doubt you've read me, since I've yet to write anything down. Ah, I lecture. A scholar
love
swimming
that.
across the ocean of history."
Now I see the foreshadowing and
Okay,
the
okay.
little crumbs. Okay.
I'll list some more of it because I think it's excellent. So you know when Withal starts praying, literally the next thing that happens is that Bug falls into the canal because he heard someone calling his name.
Oh, fine.
He also said that he really doesn't like being worshipped. And as well, what is it? Oh yes, when Briss is going to look for Mail, he's like, "Okay, Mail, you better be there." And you know who the next perspective is? The next line? It's Bug. Also, he just like knows way too much.
Well, him knowing way too much. I mean, yes, I did give him away, but in terms of his real identity, I think it was just too subtle for me to pick up.
Here's another one. Him and Tehel were talking. He said, "Alas, my dear, I have taken a vow of celibacy." "Since when?"
Yeah.
"Oh, thousands of years, it seems." And then later on, said, "No, I am being serious, Bug. I think you are probably a wonderful lover." "Aye," he drawled, "the very oceans heaved." And here's another one. So Tehel was complaining about Bug snoring, and he said it was the sound of the tides rushing into a cave.
Uh,
Wow.
fine.
Yeah, isn't it excellent? Okay, I didn't guess either. Like I'm not saying aha you're so stupid. I'm saying oh my god. Like he's so blunt with it, but so much else is happening. It's hard to catch it.
I mean, I'll be honest. I totally forgot about Mail as a character. Like,
We tried
out
to
of
try to
sight, out of
remember.
mind.
Like at Malik Rel, he's like a priestess male guy. Wait till you meet male.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but like, Bug is so lovable. Malik Rel is so not. You know,
And what does
it's
that
just
tell you?
so opposite.
It's not just Malagrel either. Wasn't there some other priest of male or supporter of male or something?
We meet another user of the Warren of Ruse, but that's about it. Is Ruse
Yeah,
that's
who
the
was
Warren,
that?
right?
I don't remember.
Nobody very important or powerful.
For some reason I had it in my head that the only other person we met, you guys made comments about it and were like being smug about like who's this male guy again, and but now I can't remember who it was.
I don't
It's
know.
okay.
Anyway,
I
yep,
remember
you
that
guys,
too, but I forgot who it was.
you guys are smug and
Oh no, I just think it's hilarious.
yeah. So how does he end up giving power to a guy like Malik Rel?
Giving power, you say?
Interesting. That's what you think would happen.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, don't priests get their power from the gods they serve?
They do draw their powers from the gods they serve. Yes.
So yeah, that's what I said.
There is a key difference.
Raffo.
Yeah, Raffo.
Oh boy. Erickson used the word befuddled again in this chapter.
I saw that. I was thinking of you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I
I like
loved
to
it.
think that he saw a glimpse of the future, and his biggest fan was a woman who went on the BefuddledPanda.
Hey, it's a great word.
It is a good word.
It is a really good word.
And
Not
now
as good
you
as
all.
mellifluous, but it is good.
Okay.
I feel really bad for Udanas because his betrayal of Rulad wasn't even intentional.
I know.
It's just used like a slave, as
I think
the Wraith notes later.
I think there's also like one message that can be drawn here is, don't make too many assumptions. Like if somebody didn't do something, somebody didn't show up, or somebody, didn't do what they said they would do, like don't just automatically assume bad intention.
Yeah, like I try and always give people the benefit of the doubt because, like, what do you gain by thinking everyone around you is terrible? I don't think much. Maybe if you're like a CEO climbing the C-suite, then do that. But like in every other situation, just assume the best in people. There's like no harm in it at all.
The world, and especially social media, would be much better if people just didn't assume the worst in everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I think that as a general rule, that's true. But if you find yourself in a situation where you're surrounded by like abusers and narcissists, that default mentality can get you to get yourself taken for a sucker quite a few times before you realize you're being abused.
Yeah, like if you're being abused, like that's like even the best case scenario, that like person's still a terrible person, right?
Sure, right. But the thing is that it's not always obvious to the person being abused because of like gaslighting and manipulation. So that like assume the best in everyone mentality is a lot of like what you use to like help spin that windmill and keep going around and around on whether it's actually happening and stuff like that.
That's
Yeah,
true.
you probably get a lot of momentum saying, "Oh, they didn't mean to do that."
Right. Yeah. I mean, my abuser's dead, and to this day, I still don't know what really happened.
Wow.
Like how much of it was like bull, or how much of it was in my head, or how much of it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
I still stick by what I said about especially social media, because social media is just people judging people that they don't know on
yeah, that's
situations that
fair.
they don't know anything about.
Yeah, and online I'd say 100%. But when you get into like super close social relations,
that's
you
an excellent
get
point.
into trouble.
Yeah, be careful. Ha ha.
What's next?
I got
The Crimson Guard body the god of the Czech. Well done, Crimson Guard.
Mm-hmm.
These guys seem hardcore.
You're not hardcore.
I was thinking
Unless
that.
you live hardcore.
I was like halfway to convince that the god of the Czech would be Rolandorus or something, and then they were like, "We expected wolves, but it was lizard cats," and I was like, "Me too, me too," and it happened off screen too. After action reports are awesome.
A lizard cat appears in Corbel Broach and Balcony novel.
I know, and it's a diverse too, and I was like,
Yeah.
We get more of the history of the Jek in this, and I appreciate that. They're essentially the remnants of the soul taken ritual that the First Empire did, and they haven't been hunted down and slaughtered by the Talani Moss, much to everyone's sadness.
Jek are scary.
Jek are scary, and they seem to be very aggressive.
Are there any of them left after the events of this
Yeah.
chapter 25?
Yeah.
I'm
Like
smiling.
Banaga dies, but like I don't think like a significant amount of them are killed in the city. It's just like they don't have their god there anymore, so they can't take over, right?
I don't think this is spoilers, but there are quite a few Jek in The God Is Not Willing.
Oh.
Yes, they do show up there.
And they're awesome.
Yeah.
I'll get there eventually, 2035.
It's a really easy to read.
It is. Yeah.
It's only like 400 pages.
I need a
Not
break,
just that,
y'all.
like it's really fast.
It addressed a lot of the criticisms I have about Steve's writing.
Well, I can't read it until I finish the series, right?
Yeah, so I'm just
No,
trying to
you
get you
cannot.
hyped so you plow through. Easy. Oh man, the seed is so smart.
Yeah.
No, he is, but you know, he could work on his social skills.
I think okay, whether or not Erickson intended this, I think the seed is definitely on the spectrum, right? Like, can we all agree that he seems very autistic, not in a derogatory sense. Like he's the best person in the book, barring Trull, but you know.
Okay, okay.
He has difficulty with people. Yeah, I love the trap that he set for the Eater God.
Man, Bryce is really thick though. Like, it was so obvious that the Ceto was like doing a thing, and
like it's obvious to us as readers, but like, you know, sometimes people crack. People often crack in times of extreme stress, like this one. And the man was just sitting on a tile for days.
yeah, tiles. Those have nothing to do with his job or
Yeah,
the
well,
magic
like
system.
no one else guessed it, right? Except for the errant, because that's kind of also his job.
Fair enough.
But yes, Bruce is not the smartest. He's just
No.
the most athletic.
He is a very, very good swordsman.
And
He's
loyal.
total Chad.
Yes. By some definitions of Chad, yes, I agree.
My
He
goodness.
is almost certainly quarterback of his football team in high school.
Yeah.
No comments.
Panda dated a quarterback, I'm sure.
Or a
Um,
linebacker.
Yeah. And he was kind of a bully, but she was like, stop, I can change him.
what is this narrative?
Sorry, I'm deconstructing your life here. Let's get back to the book, right?
I bet they got married right out of high school and he died of cancer.
Oh.
Oh,
Right after
okay.
she told him not to fall in love with her.
He definitely changed too. You changed him, but like after he changed, he died.
Yeah. It was like
But he died
he'd
happy.
shown signs of improvement, and then the evening after he's like, oh, I was just told I have cancer.
He's
Wow.
like stage 20 pancreatic
Inoperable.
cancer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is so tragic. Why?
Yeah, it's his life. Oh, yes. Another piece of foreshadowing. Mail does... okay. It's sort of inverted foreshadowing. Ajagat does a favor for Mail in the prologue, and Mail does a favor for Ajagat in the actual book.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
He's like, God, it pays off.
not the same Jagat.
No, it's
Just
not.
a Jagat.
It's, yeah. Not
And
nearly as
then-
cool a one as Gothos, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then he calls in the favor from... Bug calls in the favor from the jacket.
And she reacts really quickly.
She does.
Good job, Jacob.
He's a bro.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Are we ready for the last chapter?
Almost.
Oh,
I got
okay.
one thing because I think he's an F up, but I really feel bad for him. It's Hole. He says he needed to speak to Tehol to explain things, to tell his brother that he knew of the deceptions, the schemes. Tehol was, he hoped, the one man in Litherus who would not hate Hole for what he had done. He needed to speak to him. He needed something like forgiveness for not being there to save their parents all those years ago, for not being there to save Briz now. Forgiveness, a simple thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's ironic.
Yep.
And, yeah, he also, sort of indirectly killed Briss in his own mind. Feels bad.
Yeah. Tragic.
Erickson said that this, even though it didn't hit me as hard as Dead House Gates, that this was his attempt to have like a pure like by the numbers Aristotelian tragedy in fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll make my comparison to Hamlet at the end.
That's and in like the same breath he was like, Shakespeare was obviously the one that did this the most, like the Aristotle and tragedy the most and the most well. But
I need to watch Hamlet.
Yes. Chapter 25. The Tarthanel gods are ganged up on. Roulat ascends to the throne of Lether. Tehil receives a new eye. A party gathers, and Trull remains behind.
Tehil, heterochromia. It's cool.
Yeah. He's even cooler now.
Erickson has some sort of obsession with people having one good eye.
Does he?
Just saying.
Like there's Talk and Tail, but who else?
Well, the wolf.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's what's his name? Never mind.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I forgot about Talk and Tog, so I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
Tehil.
Why are the names so similar?
Tog, Tehil, Berg,
I mean,
Brooke.
T is a great way to start a name. I don't blame him for putting a lot of T names in here.
Yeah, well, with Talk and Tog, I think that was to like really hit on the connection between the two. But
yeah.
Um,
I have a beef with Erickson about names. I'm gonna ask him questions. So.
Yes, please do. Okay, so Tartanel gods, they get kind of murked. I would almost feel bad for them, but they're kind of just bad people.
Yep.
I love the reveal that Ubal is like, yeah, the only reason we pray to them is to keep them away.
I love that too. That's great. I also loved how bad MF the Crimson Guard were in this.
Mm-hmm.
I want
Iron
more
Bars.
Crimson
Iron
Guard.
Bars.
Iron Bars, nearly as good a fighter as Skinner. Also, we
Who's
get like
Skinner, may you ask?
Who's Skinner? Yes, he was mentioned earlier in the book. But yeah, Iron Bar is very strong-willed. It's implied that, or no, it's just stated that will has a lot to do with how long Avowed can survive, which I think is interesting, especially considering the nature of their predicament.
Skinner was also the topic of the epigraph of chapter 22.
Yeah.
Cool.
Little teaser for you.
Gives you an idea
That I'm just gonna forget.
Character.
Yeah, you don't need. I don't. It's more for Jasnah.
It is a very appropriate name, though. Skinner, you get the idea.
I get
Skinner.
I want to read Bone Hunter so I can read Return of the Crimson Guard.
Silchus Ruin comes out, and he's so cool.
He's really
He
cool.
is
So cool.
And he confirms that Hood has
Balls.
testicles.
Yeah.
He's got 2 swords.
Maybe Hood just really likes tennis. Have you ever thought about that?
Ha ha. You know what? Maybe he does.
Or
That's
golf.
why he collects so many dead people. He just
I
wants
never
to
considered that.
golf and tennis
Yeah.
with them all day
Maybe he
long.
really likes golf.
This implies something I think that's interesting. Hood's been around for a long time.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Yeah, Silchus has been stuck in the Azath Tower, and he hasn't been able to leave Letheras. And well, Hood's not in Letheras.
But I got the impression from the prologue that the Teist were an invading force against the native Kachain Shamal at the time, and he gets like put in the Azath house like right after that happens. Like, when did he have time to go meet Hood and do all that other stuff?
Small point of correction. I believe the Kachain Shamal also weren't native. They were just, here before the Teist.
Yeah.
Do we ever get? Have we ever been told that?
That they're invaders?
Yeah, that the
so.
Kachain Shamal are when?
Yeah, I thought we talked about it in a previous episode.
Was it? It might have been something I didn't catch on the read, and you guys told me, which means I didn't absorb it. I think it was in the little like pocket memory in House of Chains. When it showed like the Sky Fortresses coming in to fight the like proto-humans, the like pre-IMAS proto-humans and the Hounds of Darkness and stuff.
That was cool.
It was cool.
Dinosaurs and Skykeeps. Authors listening to this, we need more dinosaurs, man. I've been reading Jurassic Park lately, and it's awesome.
Jurassic Park is really good. Yes.
There's not enough books with dinosaurs.
Remind me to look up this one series that George R. R. Martin recommended that has people who ride dinosaurs into battle.
Ooh, okay.
I had it on my list for a long time and then forgot about it because I got a new phone. And the way I keep my lists sometimes is if I don't have the book, I'll just open a tab in my browser and then
Yeah.
never close that tab.
Yep. You need all tabs. We'll talk later.
You just make
Or
a
one
doc,
tab.
just
One
make a
tab.
Google Doc with all your notes in it, and
I'm
then
not a
everything
note taker. It's not what I do. It's not who I am.
You're a tab opener and not
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah, like there's something in my brain. It's like I'm okay with searching things online, but writing things down is like pure drudgery to me. I hate it.
I will send you a tool that will be your favorite thing.
Thank you. Hmm.
Hard list. Oh man. So I said I was on the train like crying and laughing. Hard list. I was laughing for a really long time.
He's a funny guy.
Shirkalal went to the sarcophagus and slid the lid to one side. Hiss. Stop that, Harless. She batted the clawing hands away. Get out of there. We have to go. Where? Harless slowly sat up, practicing baring his long fangs and making growling sounds. She studied him for a moment and then said, "A cemetery." Oh, Harless sighed. That's perfect.
Yeah, and he ends the story in the cemetery.
Yeah.
Isn't Harlist is like
Yeah.
Harlist is like one of those kids that's part of like the horror punk scene. Like that genre.
Vampire kids.
Huh?
The vampire kids?
Yeah, like they heard the Misfits and they decided that deserved an entire music genre for some reason, and they're like all super into spooky stuff and blah blah blah. Yeah.
It's
I want to see Harlist cosplays.
Yeah. Harless is essentially a cosplayer already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who cosplays the cosplayers?
And a Shirk cosplay.
There's a lot of potential with the Shirk cosplay. You can go before she meets Salush. I don't know.
Yep.
You can go after. You can go Spikenhead. You can go prostitute. You can go pirate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's
After
more,
Spike and Head.
Yeah. Spike coming out of head again.
Mm-hmm.
Shirk laughing.
Lots of potential there.
Shirk laughing before and after her rejuvenation. God. Yeah. Because it goes from being disgusting to just being very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, and of course, a live thief Shirk who drowned because of a very unfortunate circumstance. I think maybe that was probably the result of the errant, but I'm not sure.
All right, what's next?
Okay, so we have the throne room scene, and this is no, not the throne scene yet. The Sita scene. This scene gave me such chills when I first read it, and the second time I read it. It would have this time I read it, but I was not feeling great. But oh my god, this is so tragic to me because on the one hand you have the Sita Kurokwon, who is totally awesome and who is the most morally upright Letheri citizen, I think. And he's just murking the Warlock King. And there's a little bit of back and forth, but really the Sita is like in control the entire time. And then on the other hand, you have the Warlock King and Rulad and all these terrible people. But also, like Trull. And he's like really stuck between a rock and a hard place because he doesn't want at all to kill the Sita. But he kind of just has to, right? Like he's not really given a choice. Unless he wanted his entire race to die out and all of his friends to die. And so he just kind of has to. Poor Trull. Poor Sita. Not poor Hen and Mosag, but,
Yeah, Mosag's the worst.
Hen and Mosag goes on the list with Malachra.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right there with you. And just the inner dialogue or inner monologue of Troll as he's killing the Sita was really powerful for me.
Mm-hmm. And the sorcery of the crippled god is so, like, deeply uncomfortable to deal with, right? Because they're using it and their bodies are getting real messed up. I wouldn't use that magic, would you?
Can I read how cool the Sita's magic is?
Yes, do it.
The sorcery pouring from the Sita had twisted the marble walls until they began to bleed white liquid. The ceiling overhead had sagged, its paint scorched away, its surfaces polished and slick. Briss had stared, disbelieving at the magic, swatted away whatever defensive spells the Krishnan had raised before themselves, swatting it away in an instant to rush in and slaughter them. It's awesome.
Yeah. basically everything he does in this scene is super cool. Like I like even when he was like just talking, he's like, "Oh, the army's fallen, the city is doomed." That's not relevant. And then when Hanan Mosag has the 2 bags of wonder, and is using those to increase his power, Sita just kind of like cocks his head a little bit and goes even more all out. It's like an anime scene, except for well done.
Panda, you said you didn't like something about the Sita scene?
Yeah, Troll killing Sita, I was a bit annoyed with it. Because like, you get this like super powerful sorcery battle going on.
Mhm.
And like I know Troll's really good with a spear, but it just seemed so lame that Troll just like kills the Sita with the spear. Because part of me is like, well, the Sita is really powerful. Like, why didn't the Sita deflect?
The answer is, I think, like in reality, like the Warlock King and the Sita were like almost evenly matched. So it's like 2 sumo wrestlers really going at it, and then one of them gets stabbed in the thigh by someone who snuck up behind, right?
Yeah, but like the descriptions we were getting was like Hannah Mosag was like getting really spent by using all the magic, and then the Sita was like there was no scratch, the Sita was perfectly fine.
I think a lot of that was just incredible composure on his part, because like if he could have just wiped him out in an instant, like he would have, right? But it was just like a slow pushing back, kind of like when you're arm wrestling. And Troll, I guess, kind of sneaky, but like I think it's I don't have a problem with you finding this unsatisfying, because like it is kind of a lame way to go out and just like, oh, it's a battle of sorceress, like epic sorceress proportions, enough to destroy the entire empire, basically. And then he gets stabbed. Some guy throws a spear at him.
It is a rather worn trope in fantasy to have like arrows or assassins be able to take out mages if they don't stay covered.
I don't think it's worn, because like there are like a lot of counter examples, and also I like last kind of mages because it allows them to be powerful without warping the entire universe around them, like what otherwise happen.
It was more like Achilles kind of story ending, but not cool. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. So how about that throne room scene then, where Briss just kind of deconstructs Rulad?
That was cool.
Really cool and sad.
Yeah. Like, I mean, Troll was like in awe that Briss could do it so quickly and not hit any major vessels.
Yeah, it was like revealed later. It's like, what? How did you do that? That's insane. And like the scene itself is such a tragic thing, because I don't know about you guys, but when I first read the scene, it was very obvious to me that the king was committing suicide.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was
Briss is a Chad.
Yeah, I was like, Briss, he did a good job. It's for nothing, but he did a good job. And then he drinks from the goblet and he dies too. Oh, it's so sad.
Well, so that was something that I was confused by, because I thought that when Briss was looking around the room, he was like looking at the king, he was looking at the eunuch, and saw that they were not moving. I thought he understood that the wine was poisoned.
So like the queen understood basically at the start. Everyone else was kind of just too distracted by the swordplay. I don't.
And why did he drink the wine?
Because the errant nudged him to do so.
Yeah,
the errant.
Right.
Because the errant read Hamlet, and he couldn't help but recreate, the ending of Hamlet.
Oh, hey, far more people survive this than survive Hamlet.
Yeah, but I meant the drinking of the goblet at the end and all of that.
Who drinks the goblet at the end? Is it?
The
queen drinks it before the fight.
The queen drinks it, and then I think Claudius and Hamlet end up drinking.
No, Hamlet gets poisoned by the sword.
He does.
And then he hits Claudius with it, and then he forces Claudius to drink it as well, to kill him twice.
I could have sworn that somebody besides the queen drinks from it, not by force.
Not that I know of.
We can reference the source material later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that in over a year, so time for another one.
Yeah, and then there's like at the end there's just like Rulad like pathetic on the floor. He can't do anything. He's begging his brothers to kill him, and they don't.
Yeah.
But then the errant nudges the
demon?
guardian.
Yeah, the Guardian. Mm-hmm. And
That
like
sucks.
right?
He sees it as a mercy. He just stabs him right through the spine.
Why
Oh,
is it
man.
not a mercy?
Because Rulad has to come back
It is a mercy.
in a sense.
Wouldn't he
Because,
just go
he's
insane sitting there, like unable to move, like and in pain, without coming back?
well, it is a mercy because like he's killing him because he wants to come back and he's in a lot of pain and he can't do anything, right? But at the same time, it kind of ruins like this out that the Eater have.
Mm-hmm. As well, like it sort of dooms Rulad to just keep dying and being resurrected over and over again, like which is I think like almost certainly worse than just not being able to move, right? Because
So wouldn't Rulad have died anyway? Because
they could have.
I mean, eventually he would have died.
Yeah.
At some point, yeah, but like
Like
not
2
for a
days
while.
later.
No, there's.
What were they gonna? Were they gonna pour water down his throat?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, okay. That's pretty wild. So they just keep him around as like a talking potato.
Well, Briss was just saying that he would take him somewhere, and
okay.
they wouldn't find him again.
But
then
it wouldn't have been a
kills
real
himself.
out because Hannah Mosag would have been the crippled god's,
He wouldn't have
king.
the sword though.
Yeah, like there wouldn't have been the sword, and Hanan Mosag is like he's able to be killed, and he's already like really messed up by the sorcery.
The sword.
Mhm.
Is the real power of the sword just that the wielder would just continue to come back?
Basically,
Like, what is the power of the
They
sword?
continue to come back. It moves super fast, and it may
The
have
wielder
something to do
gets
with the.
more powerful every time they die.
Yeah.
That
like,
was implied,
Rulad-
yeah. And also, it
Rulad
may have.
was not very good, even like towards the end.
But he was fat. The sword still moved faster than anyone expected it to. Like
True.
he was given. It's like they boosted his attributes without like the skill that comes with that, because that would develop over time.
He's also
So
like
then
fighting
why
really
didn't-
skilled people at this time.
Yeah, I mean, like Briz was like god level.
Yeah.
Why didn't like
And he
Troll
fought a
just
Volcrest
cut
too.
off his arm?
He'd
There's
bleed
I don't
out.
so like this way was like he completely disabled Rulad. Cutting off his arm wouldn't really work because Rulad could just like kill himself, and then he would get his arm back.
I mean, but he wouldn't have the sword.
Oh, it would find its way back to him.
Magic.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like the sword thing.
Also, I suspect that the reason the crippled god is able to speak in his head is the sword. So that would be the fourth property. The DM dished out a really crazy cursed item. What happened?
Yeah, and it's interesting the stages Rulad goes through. Like at first, he accepts the sword because he's like, "Oh yes, I'll get power, and it'll be great because everyone will take me seriously." And then he realizes how awful it is to get resurrected like that, and then he doesn't want to do it, but he still does because he's kind of forced to. There's a point in the story where he's like, he would really give it up, I think, if he could, and that's when he's closest to sanity and closest to his brothers. And then he takes a complete swing in the other direction. It's like, okay, no, I just need to die. I need to be killed a lot of times so I can get stronger now. Because he's slipping so far into insanity.
He's been betrayed so much too.
Mm-hmm.
Or thought he was betrayed.
A lot of it is self-hatred as well.
It's understandable. He is kind of a POS.
Yeah, and then Fear and Trull, like, I don't know what would have happened if they had killed him. Maybe they would have had a stronger bond with him. They could have brought him back. But him being betrayed like this, oh my god, he's completely gone now, essentially, right?
Speaking of
Especially with Fear
Fear,
gone.
Yes, tell us your thoughts on Fear.
I hate the character so much. Like,
Elaborate.
Fear is... I think he does live up to his name, whereas, like, he is a coward.
Yeah?
And he... Like, at the end, he is going off to do something supposedly good, but in reality, I think it's more of an excuse for him to run away. And it just makes me very annoyed with this character because it's this is revealing a lot more about myself. Like, I just don't have patience for people who are just lukewarm.
Hmm.
You know?
Yep.
I'm just like, you're not helping, and you're also not being truthful.
Yeah.
You're in denial.
Like he had his doubts the entire time, but never actually voiced them because
Even worse, he used Troll to voice his fears, and
Yeah.
then
rebut them.
he just wanted to make himself look better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think he's a very realistic character.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he just wanted to make himself look better. He wanted to convince himself. The way to convince himself is to argue against the arguments that are most of a threat to his, illusion that he's, faithful in his convictions to the course that the Eater are now on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it could
I
be
see
both,
that.
but yeah, I really do think that he used Troll to boost his own self peace of mind, but
Yeah.
also in the Eater eyes.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, like he thinks to himself during the one scene we have inside his thoughts, Troll was always his favorite, but like it really didn't seem like it reading the story, right?
Mhm.
He's always telling Troll he's doing a bad job, telling him to back off, stuff like that. Which part of that's just being brothers, right? But at the same time, like Troll never really felt appreciated by Fear. I think Troll felt isolated by everybody besides Lilac and sort of Alrutta.
Well, I mean, that was a bit later, not in like his whole life.
Yeah, but, like there was still this tension between them, right? Like we see that at the start of the novel.
Yeah, I mean, it's all because of Rulad.
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah.
Speaking of Fear,
Yeah.
sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, just saying that they're gonna have a really interesting adventure party.
Yeah.
So is
Fear.
that going to be and you can refo me if you is that going to be in the novels The Malazan Empire or the Book of the Fall?
Book of the Fallen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's quite a group too. It's Seren, it's Silchus Ruin, it's the Not Dead Kettle, Fear, Udanas, and a Wraith.
I totally thought that Saren was going to go off with iron bars at the end. I was kind of disappointed. I shipped
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, they're good friends.
You should ship her and Troll.
Yeah,
because they
Yeah,
got
but
married.
No.
I don't want to ship them. I wanted to ship her in iron bars.
Iron Bars is so much better of a partner than Troll.
You monster.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had a preference, I'd choose Iron Bars.
Yeah.
I think Troll and Seren are kind of perfect for each other because they were basically occupying the same position, just on opposite sides, and
Too much similarity, not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, I was just going to say just what I want. A clone.
it's not a clone. Like obviously they have different ways of seeing the world, but they share like a core of compassion and doubt. In
Iron Bars.
Iron Bars is compassionate. Yeah.
Yes, Iron Bars is compassionate. He's also not suited for relationships.
Well, is it because you know more than we know? Is that why you're saying that?
No, it's
But
because
you guys know he's old and he can't die, basically.
Yeah,
I mean,
he has a vow to destroy the Malazan Empire that will take precedence over everything.
Yeah, but Troll's
mean-
Troll's immortal too, but on at least her time scale.
And he's got so many issues, man.
Troll.
So does she, though.
I mean, that's why I'm saying Iron Bars is good for her because like he's more
things simple.
supportive. Well,
Yeah.
he like actually knows how to deal and help her process.
Him and Corlo.
I think you guys are making some excellent arguments.
Thank you.
I think he would have a tough time seeing her as an equal. Not like that he's a misogynist or anything, but he's like this immortal warrior that is.
She's got a Warren. She's got powers.
She
He
has,
also has a granddaughter her age.
Yeah, that too. Like it's
Doesn't
sort
matter.
of the she's
Agent
actually 10,000
Malazan
years old.
is whatever. Time, history, death, blah blah blah.
Well, the emotional maturity does play a factor here, right? Like Troll and Seren are pretty much on the same level.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay.
So the the scenes with Sita and with Discanar were fantastic. I loved them a lot. But really, what moved me the most in this chapter were Mayan and then Tehol finding Mayan, Tehol getting attacked by a bunch of Eater, and then Bug saving Tehol.
Yes.
Because the death of Man was awful and tragic, and yeah, that made me cry. And then immediately afterward, I'm like, oh my god, Tehol, oh, and they're killing my boy. And then the raw emotion of Bug when he finds Tehol and
Yep.
sends all those eaters sends that one eater to the depth of the ocean.
Yeah. The Tehol getting basically in the process of being killed affected me way more than Man.
Yeah, for sure. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Tail's a much more likable character, right? I do feel really bad for Man because like a lot of this stuff, she was just like a victim in all this. She didn't react in a good way, but not everyone does.
Witch.
Yeah, and Feather Witch essentially is responsible for her killing herself.
Yeah. Well, I
In a
already
large part,
established
at
I don't
least.
like Feather Witch.
I don't like
Um,
Featherwitch either, but I don't blame her for doing that at all.
I think anybody who directly or indirectly causes someone to commit suicide, not good.
I think if somebody's ritually beating me, I'm going to try to get them to stop however I can, including,
At that point, she'd
Including
stopped
ending
already
their
because
life.
they've been
Yeah,
separated, right?
Yeah, she was already away from her.
well, she was traumatized and she held a grudge.
Yeah, she did. She was traumatized and she did hold a grudge, and that is.
And she got Bruce's finger.
She got Bruce's finger.
I'm a big fan of John Brown. Let's just put it that
I don't know who that is.
American
he's
history.
he's very famous in Kansas.
He was a white abolitionist who killed a bunch of slaves.
He's very radical. And do you know the Harper's Ferry?
No.
We can talk about it later. He was awesome.
Yeah, like this is another case where like it's an instance of revenge, and it's not good, right?
Well, the
He also like she also indirectly killed an unborn child.
that is true.
I find it hard to get behind that, but I don't know. Different strokes.
Our tail almost died, and Bug just felt so bad for Bug.
Mm-hmm.
The Theridus, the Eater, we finally know the identity of the Eater we met in Memories of Ice.
Yeah.
Yep. But at Revelation, I was more excited for Panda, and then I spoiled for her. Was why the food that Tehol and Bug were eating
Oh,
was enough to sustain them.
wait. You did? You spoiled it for me? Hold on.
Yeah, because Bug is male.
Oh, I see.
That was the same scene. It was
I
like
got
right
That was
it.
before.
definitely this book's, or really up until this point in the Book of the Fall, that was definitely the most interesting mystery that we've been given.
Mhm.
Well, and you don't even really think it's a mystery at the start, right? It's just, oh, haha, comedy.
Yeah, right. I never thought it would be explained, and then it's explained in the last chapter, and I was like, Panda is gonna love this. And I sent a message to you guys, and I was like, oh, Panda's gonna love something that is finally brought up in chapter 25.
I see.
And then like right after I said that was the male reveal. So like they
I see.
started to deal with it, and I was already like, Panda's gonna love this because they address it, and then they like go further, and I'm like, oh my god. And then I decided to accidentally spoil it for you.
No, it's fine.
Can I
Yes.
share something?
Yeah.
It's the male reveal, and Bug nodded. I looked away briefly. I'm afraid I lost my temper. The manservant looked back. You don't sound surprised. I'm not. I've seen you step on cockroaches. You are ruthless. Anything for a meal.
Mhm.
And in the end, Bug decides not to erase Tail's memories. And I think, as much as anything else, this demonstrates that Tail is indeed a very smart and wise person. Possibly the smartest and most wise. Because, like, how many people could adequately cope with having a literal god as their manservant?
A manservant?
Right?
But a manservant? Why?
And he was bored, and guess what? Tehol revitalized his love for life. Good job, Tehol.
Yeah.
Their last
Now I
conversation
really
together was really
want
good.
I want the story of Animander as a bodyguard, you know?
Yeah. We should
Me
write it
too.
down for next time we talk to Steve.
Unfortunately, I don't think Animander would be nearly as funny. He would just kind of just like do his job well and then go home and sleep.
It would be
That would
brooding.
Yeah.
it would be funny.
Probably.
No,
Yeah.
like that's the joke. Like the
Yeah,
joke
that's
is it's
just
not
one
funny.
He takes his job seriously.
He does it really well.
He could just write a 200-page novella about it, and it'd be just like tedious.
Mundane stuff.
Yeah. And Malazan fans would eat it up.
He's always volunteering for night shifts. No one knows why.
I feel like we're gonna get some sort of Batman-esque story here.
Oh, Animander is definitely very close to Batman in a lot of ways.
Angel.
Speaking of Batman, actually, I love what Erikson does with Gurren Ebrecht, because when I first read this book, I was like, oh, Gurren Ebrecht? Yeah, like, cool vigilante guy. He's kind of like the Punisher, right? He probably has a really good motive for doing what he's doing. I'm really excited to learn out why. It turns out he's kind of just a racist serial killer. And that's excellent. Don't romanticize vigilantes. Don't romanticize people who kill people. That's not
Right? Yeah.
good. So, yeah, like, like the first time I read this, I was unsatisfied. This time I read it, it's like, yes, please. Serial killers, by and large, not cool, not smart.
By and large, I'm definitely not cool.
Although he has an entire series of novellas that romanticizes serial killers, but
Oh.
Does he? I mean, I've never liked those two.
I mean, they're shown in a pretty sympathetic light and at many moments in those novellas. In Memories of Ice, I feel like we get Erikson's real take on them, where they just keep getting beat up by normal people and like made fools of. But he cuts a bit loose, I think, in the Boggelane and Corporal Brooch novellas, and indulges in like the black comedy more, and like more successful and like kind of lets their ideology challenge Erikson's ideology in a way. We can talk about that when if we ever actually talk about the Boggelane novella. Sorry for the tangent, but
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then he gets taken out very easily by the Nereth assassin. And I like it, because the Nereth, I think, occupy a good place in the narrative, because at once they're very victimized and oppressed, but they still have a lot of agency. And they use their agency in, I think, a very good way. For example, when they deal with Helbedict because he could not learn to forgive, I think it's a great way to send a message. And, taking it upon themselves to defend themselves from the man who has been slaughtering their people for years and years and years, Gurren Ebrecht. So, yeah, good job, Erikson, for empowering a disenfranchised minority.
I mean, he was getting revenge, though, and
like sort of.
I mean, this whole episode, you've just been railing against revenge, right?
Yeah.
But like this Narek guy, he gets revenge for his grandmother, his mother dying. You're like, yeah, revenge.
Yeah, like so. Yes, I'm not a fan of revenge, but Gurren was not going to stop, right? Like he was just going to continue doing this, and I think that's in the end why they killed him. Okay, to the epilogue. Demons take the piss. Withal assaults a cripple and breaks his stuff.
I love those last lines. I'm going to beat a god senseless.
And that as the end kind of is the Erikson's gesture of humanity that relieves the tragedy.
A little bit. It's quite a big tragedy.
Well, Erikson always says, the bigger the tragedy, the smaller the gesture of humanity to relieve it. So that's his.
Yeah, I think,
and done by a god this time.
The beating up of the crippled god, not so much, I think, a gesture of humanity, but definitely the rescuing Withal and Sandaleth.
Well, I think it speaks to like the idea of answering the pain and the suffering that the crippled god has visited upon the Eater and the Letheri.
I actually think that's almost exactly what Erikson does not want to advocate for, because that's like eye for an eye mentality. The crippled god has been suffering like unimaginable pain for thousands of years. Like he doesn't need more pain, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like at the end of the day, like I'm sure it probably felt good for Mail to beat this guy up, but like what does that solve?
He might have set him back a little bit. I'm sure getting beat up by a god makes you have to like lick your wounds and recover, right?
Maybe, but this is before Memories of Ice. I mean, the Crippled God is pretty active in Memories of Ice.
Mm-hmm.
I hear what you're saying, and I agree. But yeah, the Cripple God also kind of deserves it.
Yeah, I feel good reading that, and like it feels good to me to like when Eric's.
And you feel bad for being good?
Not really. It's more just like a acknowledgement that like Mail acknowledges, humans are very flawed, and if there's a solution to the problems we face, well, it doesn't seem likely that we'll innovate them anytime soon. But you never know.
How'd you like the epilogue, Panda?
It was cool. Fun. Yay.
Oh, if you don't mind, I would like to just do my little play thing before we do the questions, because I think the questions probably just end it. I think Trull, Udanos, and Tehil are kind of just like Hamlet himself, split into 3 parts. Trull, obviously, a more martial side of Hamlet. Hamlet, obviously, a very, very good sword fighter. Udanos, compassionate guy who questions everything. Tehil, compassionate guy who questions everything, is really smart, plays off being mad, but it's kind of unclear as to how much it's actually affecting his mind. And then, like, all of them are dealing with, like, supernatural entities that are, in the case of Udanas, Wither initially advocates for him to, like, get revenge, much like Hamlet's father does. Trull, the one most punished by the narrative, because off-screen he is shorn. And all of them spend a very long time not doing anything because they're too worried about what the ramifications will be. And at the end, they make choices that are very mixed in their results.
I think your comparisons would work better if I had seen Hamlet.
That's probably
But
true.
I'm sure it was fantastic.
Well, you know what? This is something that AP can tell me I'm wrong about.
There you go.
I actually announced that we're having an episode with Apto Canavalian. AP Canavan. We don't know. It's soon-ish.
And it'll be on something. Probably a retrospective.
It's funny that we're talking about Hamlet so much because today is Brian Bless's birthday, and he played Hamlet's father in Promise
That's
Hamlet.
true. Brian Blessed.
His most serious role I've ever seen him in.
The humor is also, I think, almost entirely identical. I think I've made these comparisons before, but like very serious drama and then like funny situational comedy between 2 people. And then it kind of like oscillates back and forth between that. While our angsty protagonists kind of monologue to themselves about how difficult the situation is that they're in. And how unfortunate it is that a man has usurped the throne, leading to mass tragedy.
Word.
You can go to listener questions now.
Listener questions. Panda, hit
All right. Here we go. Cannon fodder. What do you all think about the relationship between a god and a mortal? Is it a viable one? Is the god just passing time? Can the mortal ever be anything more than a pet for a god? Tehol is a blip on Bug's immortal life. How can that kind of friendship exist in a meaningful way?
The last part, I think you could have meaningful, deep relationships that don't last long.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I had really close friends in college that I haven't talked to since then. I still think about them sometimes, and I think if we ever met each other again, we would be just like talking like we once were. But that's not as important, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like, people who have impressions on your life don't necessarily have to be there for a prolonged period of time. Like, I've used this example before. Like, if you went to summer camp and you met people and you got really close and it was like an intense, short but intense period, you can still leave an imprint on somebody's life, even though you never speak again after that.
I think this is sort of why Trull and Seren have such a strong connection despite not having really interacted much. But to move to a less controversial topic. Like, it doesn't take long to change someone's life. If it's in a negative way, it can be in a second. Positive ways usually take longer, but even still, like, there are people who I've met for very short amounts of time and enormously positive effects on my life, I would say. As well, like, I agree, like, a relationship between a god and a mortal would be incredibly difficult for anybody but like Tehol. And yeah, no, it's just Tehol, I think. Like Krupp has his relationship with Cruel, but it's not quite the same. Like they're not like best buds that banter with each other all day long.
I think a better example would be Rake and Whiskey Jack.
Rake and Whiskey Jack is a good example, yes. Like sometimes there's like special people that can come along and really click with you, and I think this is one of those times. But yes, most of the time I do think it would be like a pet. I certainly would have a very difficult time relating to or speaking to a god without like some sort of deference. Like, oh, this creature could eliminate me and my entire family in an instant. And Tehol is just not bothered by that, which is it's very good, and he's totally okay with ordering Bug around.
This reminds me of the King's Speech.
Mm.
And I mean, obviously, it's not the same thing, but it's people of a much, 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 much higher social class being like genuine, real friends with people who are and just much, much, much lower, right? And like, it's not easy, and that thing's always going to be there. And in a certain way, you have to kind of ignore that, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that like the friendship's not real. It's not easy, and it's in most situations, it's not going to work for most people. But it doesn't mean it can't happen. Good movie.
I guess in a way it's kind of, I think Cannon Fodder's question is also like from the god's point of view. Like if you live so long, what's how much impact can like just one person have in the whole scope of your existence? So like for if you have a lot of people that you're attached to, then does that dilute any one experience?
It's a good question, right? Because like if he's like, oh, my wife died, I'm going to go marry someone. It seems to devalue it, right? I think it's really interesting Male's relationship with the world, because like he seems like a good guy, but you also have the problem of evil to a certain extent. Like obviously he's not omniscient or omnipotent, but he doesn't do as much as he could, and it leaves you wondering why he seems kind of resigned to the fact that humans will just keep doing this and there's nothing he can do about it. And when he talks with the Errant, he's like, oh, has it been you this entire time? The Errant's like, no, this is just human nature. It's kind of like if Wonder Woman had a good ending, I think.
It could have
Like
been
the
so
movie?
Yes, the movie.
Oh,
good. The ending was
okay.
bad.
The ending was
I liked
so
it.
bad. Oh, no. Okay, spoilers for Wonder Woman. Okay, so they had it set up to be very good. Like Ares, he said that, oh, it wasn't me. I just kind of pushed and prodded a little bit, but, haven't made a big difference.
So like about the evils of man. But
Yes.
no, it was all Ares the whole time.
Yeah, it was just Ares.
It was just Ares.
She kills Ares, and then everything's fine. And it's like, this is not...
It undermines its own message.
Yeah, it's not the message the movie is. But
Okay.
I digress.
I think the other part of Cannon Fodder's question is like, can the mortal ever be anything more than a pet for a god? I think so. I mean, in the relationship between Tehol and Bug, like Bug chose to be a manservant, right? And he doesn't
Or that he
see
was a
Tehol
coroner.
as a Tehol doesn't see Tehol as a pet. I think it's as long as they're aware of the balance of power.
Yeah.
And not abuse it.
Like Tehol, he like joked around with Bug a lot, and like it could be seen by an unfamiliar party that, oh, he's being kind of abusive towards his manservant. But no, it's just like they know what their relationship is, and they're kind of very confident with each other. Yeah, no, it's excellent. And also, it's really hard to not be very close to someone who has made you love life.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I understand.
I just want to say, Cannon Fodder, that was a very good question because we had a lot to say.
Yeah, it was a good question.
Next question from Lady Sweden. How do you feel about us not seeing the events leading up to the prologue of House of Chains in the end of the book? Ooh.
It's fine.
Yeah, I was like waiting for it, but at the same time, I don't care.
Yep. We got the important part, like the trajectories are what's important, and we can extrapolate, a vague picture from that trajectory.
Exactly. We can imagine exactly what happens.
Yeah.
How it happens.
I sort of I like it because you'll leave off on a sense of doom for Trull. Like he's going towards a fate that he knows is going to be bad. But he's doing it anyway because he thinks it's the right thing to do, and he has to try. Troll, very good guy.
I don't feel as ambivalent or frustrated with him after finishing the book than I did
I think
last episode.
I think
The win.
the thing that changed it for me was
Was what?
Was what?
Lilac.
Yeah.
Lilac is now the second creature we know that has bound their life to trolls.
Oh yeah.
They're annoying
Oh
for
yeah.
me.
Onrak and Lilac.
The first of
Yes,
two.
the second one we know about.
Okay. Lady Sweden's next question. Which of the new characters we met in this book are you most excited to read more about in coming books? Hers is Silchus Ruin. She wants the meeting with Anamander Rake and what will happen to Kettle and Udanas. I mean, now that I know Bug is male, I just want more. I want to know more about male.
I think the answer for me is Rulot.
Interesting.
I think everyone's going to be very satisfied, except for one.
Okay.
My answer when I read this the first time, Silchus Ruin at the top, and then Troll, Tehil, and Udanas were all very much beloved by me.
But you didn't meet Troll in this book, so it can't be. You can't. It doesn't fit the question.
Sure.
Oh, he's got you there.
I guess I met male sort of before.
Nope.
I don't know.
I think he's only been mentioned.
His first appearance is the prologue.
But
Okay.
the oceans have shown up, and Male's the god of the oceans.
Yeah, that's
No.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think he's got you there.
No.
And Malakrel and Male are pretty much the same creature.
Fine, Kettle. I want to know what happens to Kettle.
Poor Kettle.
Lady Sweden continues. Naturally, we need a ranking of the books to finish off the episode. Well, we'll save that to the end. Okay, another question. Halfway in, do you think this series would actually be a good match for any of the main Legendarium podcast crew? If so, which members? And Cannon Fodder also asked, why won't Craig read Malazan?
I think Panda knows the answer to Cannon Fodder's question most. Because you talked to Craig.
I did. And part of it is they did get really burnt out with all of the Sanderson, what's it called? Stormlight
Cosmere.
Archive stuff and Cosmere stuff that they did. And also
Wheel of
basically Malazan is like the most requested series that he receives, that he's kind of just like, well, I don't want to do it.
Reverse psychology.
Yes, exactly.
You ever heard someone badgering like, "Oh, you got to read this. You got to read this. You
Yeah.
got to read this." You're like, "No, I'm never reading this. I'm never ever reading this because you won't shut up." I think that's what.
happened. But I do know that he does have the first book, and maybe he will pick it up. And not tell us.
Yeah. If he does pick it up, he probably won't tell us. So I think Craig would actually love it if he actually read it. A lot of the philosophy would be stuff that he would love to like try to pick apart, and
he would have a lot to say,
disagreements with it. And I think that Todd would probably be like the best match for the series. I would love to listen to Todd cry about these books so that I could cry even more about them than I like, because I cry a little bit at these books, but if I listened to Todd cry on air about these books, I would be weeping. Okay. And
Todd would cry all the time.
Todd
is my answer.
Yeah. And it would be so beautiful, and it would make me cry more. I want it. I want Todd crying to Malazan. That's what I want.
My hot take is that I actually don't think that any of them would connect with it a lot. And Todd is the person that I think would find the emotional stuff most compelling. But at the same time, it's not the most accessible series. There's comparatively not very much action. And I think Todd is really good at reaching into books and pulling out more than you would expect from them. He did with Dresden very, very well. But I just don't think it's the kind of vibe that they would be going for. And I think
everyone except for Todd, I think he would have a good point. But Todd's favorite is like Dune.
Yeah.
You're
So-
describing Dune.
Okay, yeah. So like Dune is very similar structurally to Malazan, but like also there's like Steve feels a lot more pessimistic than I think Todd wants to be. I think Todd ultimately likes a lot of hope in his stories.
There is a lot of hope in Malazan.
Like
I'm pointing at Yasna.
there is and there isn't. Like, there's horrible stuff that happens, like much worse stuff than happens in almost any other fantasy series you can read. And I think that would hit him really hard, and I don't think he would enjoy reading that at all.
Worse than genocidal jihad on an intergalactic scale.
Yeah. Yeah, because
think-
you're relatively removed from the jihad, right?
I think all this is leading to is we're just gonna have to make Todd read Gardens of the Moon.
And recreate his impressions.
I'd be very interested to see what his thoughts on Gardens were.
Anyway, okay.
I think probably I would advise him to read Black Company first, though.
Who knows? Maybe
Black,
he already
Black Company's
has.
a lot darker.
Yeah, and
I don't know
it's
if
so
I'd say
emotionally flat.
Oh, Drew's not gonna be happy with you for saying
The
that.
the first book is I've read farther in the series and I'm much more emotionally invested now. But that first book, like,
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
I love
really
the
like
first book, but yeah, it's not emotionally. Yeah,
it's good. It's a good book. I enjoy a lot of things about it. But yeah, it's like one tone, one note. The first book. Ugh.
Okay. Next question. Red Army Ian asks, how do you think the main characters will fit into the rest of the series moving forward? That is a big question. I don't have an answer.
We can skip that one.
Okay.
But shout out to Red Army Ian for reading along and listening and contributing questions.
Yeah, Ian likes having his voice set on his name set on the podcast. So let's say it 3 times. Ian.
Hey, Ian, would you like me to answer this question? I can answer it.
Answer it.
No? Okay.
Hey. Okay, and then lastly, I guess, rankings of the books and then character rankings.
Well, yeah, last week I was like, yeah, let's talk about the characters. You're like, no, you're
Okay.
ask me.
Okay, let's do
That's exactly what
rankings
you
of the.
sounded like.
Sorry, let's do rankings of the books first. Anybody?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I'll do Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his toe. If he hollers, let him go.
Ashaman already said yeah, sure.
Nope, Yasna's first.
All right. I can't fault the non-deterministic choosing method. No, deterministic. Sorry.
You want me to rank them?
The
Yep.
books.
One and 2 together. Dead House Gates and House of Chains, followed by Gardens of the Moon, Memories of Ice, Midnight Ties is last.
Ouch. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his
Oh my
toe.
God.
If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Panda's next.
I mean, I've already said Gardens is my favorite, and I still stand by that. So, Gardens, and then it's like Memories of Ice, Dead House Gates, and then Midnight Tides and House of Chains.
Eeny, meeny, miny, miny, mo. You.
Ooh. Midnight Tides. I am very vocal about this being my favorite book in the series. After that, probably House of Chains, Dead House Gates, Memories of Ice, Gardens of the Moon.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his
Oh my
toe.
God, just go.
I am last, and this is hard. I think this time my favorite has been Dead House Gates, and then Midnight Tides, A House of Chains, Memories of Ice, and then Gardens of the Moon.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm curious what the listeners' lists are going to be. Obviously, ladies,
share.
you can let us know, as well as everyone else.
Yeah, come
And
join
Ian.
us on Discord.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Yasna had to hop off. So, do you want to do character rankings?
It's up to you. I feel like my character ranking is probably. Oh, I have something to say actually.
Okay.
So there are as people have noted, there are several quote unquote mad geniuses in this series. I think the most prominent of which are Krupp, Iskarlpust, and Tehel. I think Tehel is the best written because he is also the most flawed.
Mm-hmm.
So Krupp kind of gets on my nerves sometimes because he's the kind of guy who's like, oh, I knew this all along. And he doesn't seem to encounter significant pushback from the narrative very often. Iskarlpust, he's kind of a meme of a character. I love him. He's hilarious. He's smart. But there's also just like not very much there to emotionally connect with. Tehol, on the other hand, has made lots of mistakes in this book alone. He is incredibly funny. He has a great dynamic with Bug, where it feels like they're equals and not just Tehol telling everyone else how smart he is, like Krupp does. And then everyone's like, "Oh, how smart is Krupp? He's the smartest." And then Tehol, like he almost dies. He gets beaten
That's
up
true.
real bad. And
I really
like,
thought he was gonna die my first time.
yeah, like
I thought that was
Tehol,
it, but yeah.
he feels vulnerable to me in the narrative in a way that Krupp just kind of doesn't. Krupp just kind of
Yeah.
like feels like he floats above, and those are my thoughts on that. And I'm also curious as the answer to this controversy. Let us know in the Discord.
I actually don't disagree with you at all.
Nice.
Yeah, I think you're completely right.
Jasnah
Um,
would disagree with me. It's sad that he had
I
to
don't
leave.
know. I don't think he actually would.
Well,
But-
Krupp is his favorite character. Is all I'm saying. That like he
So,
prefers him
well,
over Tail.
Up until he got to Tehol.
No, even still, like Lady Sweden asked if you would kill any of them off, who would it be and in what order? Jasnah said Tail first.
Well, we'll see if he still thinks that after this.
Okay, I'll give my character rankings for this book.
Mhm.
Okay, are we doing that? Or are we just skipping
Yeah,
that?
why not? Just go ahead.
We can do
Cool.
that.
Tehol might be my favorite character in the whole series. The number 2 would be Urinas. Number 3 probably Rulad. I'll just do top 3.
Okay.
Top 3
well,
sounds good. Top 3, maybe bottom 3. If you want the
Bottom.
spicy takes.
I
I
mean,
mean-
my bottom 3 is like Fear and Mayan and
Feather Witch.
Feather Witch.
Okay, I can't name one of my bottom 3 because that might be a spoiler.
Oh, great.
I think I
But-
know who you're saying.
You definitely know who I'm saying. And every listener who's read the series before knows what I'm saying. Okay, top 3. It would have to be Tehol, Udenas, and Troll. In no particular order, because I love my Hamlet boys. Bottom, yeah, I have a hard time picking a bottom for this because I think that it's just so well done. Like even the characters that I hate. But I would say probably Prince Quillis because he's such a nothing character. And Hull Benedict would be my second pick for the first time around. Not this time because I think he has an interesting arc. Who's in this book? Panda, you can do your list, and then I'll just chime in with my least favorite.
I love Bug a lot.
Well
I like
documented.
Tehol. Who's my third favorite? I don't know, Kettle.
Oh.
Kettle is awesome. I like Kettle.
Right.
Maybe Sandalith in this book because she's just so mean.
Yeah, there
but
were
see-
quite a few characters that I just didn't care enough, so they just don't count on the list.
I think there's a sexual tension there.
Oh yeah, like anger and lust are like they're such close emotions, right? And then with all and Sandalith sail off into the sunset together. Do you ship that relationship, Panda?
Bithal and
Sandaloth.
no,
Okay.
I do not ship them.
Just wondering. Do you ship any of the relationships in this book besides the romances?
Yeah, Corlad and Whiskey Jack.
No, like this book.
Oh, in this book. Yeah, no, not really.
Okay, good to know. Not even Shirk and Ublala?
I mean, they're
They're cute
funny.
together.
I mean, okay, I already said Iron Bars and Saren.
She did say that.
Yeah.
The non-relationship.
I
You are Team Jacob.
No. No. Yeah, no, I really just ship Bug and Tehol.
Okay.
Okay, and let me wrap up the episode. That concludes this episode. If you want to join the read along and or contribute listener questions or get shoutouts from us, check us out on the Legendarium's Discord. You can find the link on thelegendarium.com. Also follow us on Twitter at Green Team Pod for updates and fun times. Check out the Legendarium podcast for Wheel of Time, Cosmere, Lord of the Rings content, and so much more. Thank you to our panelists, Ashaman, JasnahAsABoy, Hurinfan, and I'm BefuddledPanda. Until next time, goodbye.
Coming up next, what I think is going to be Panda's favorite book, Bone Hunters.
Ooh, I think it's going to be my favorite too.
Okay.
If it's not, I'm gonna be so devastated.
I will
Wow.
eat, honestly, because I'll just be like, I don't know what Panda likes.
Yeah. If the next book's not your favorite, then I will be shocked.
All
Yeah.
right.
Bye.
Bye.